Alrighty, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the National Study Abroad Day alumni interview. I have Alisha here, who is going to be interviewed. My name is Natalie. I'm one of the Global Tenants ambassadors on campus, and I'm very happy to be here. Alicia, would you like to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Guys. My name is Alisha Byrd. I went to State Bakersfield, and I participated in the Learn Spanish program, CSU IP, and it was a great experience. It was fortunate enough for me because I also ran track, as you can see in my hoodie. I was an athlete there, track athlete, and so I majored in psychology, and it was actually supposed to be my last year of school, but I took that leap of faith and I went to go study abroad, and that's kind of like shaped me to be who I am. So I'm excited to get into this interview.
Awesome, and we're excited to hear more about your experience. So, my very first question for you is, what inspired you to study abroad in the first place?
In California, it's kind of a diverse place already, but I noticed that there were, as our society was growing, there grew a need for bilingual people, and I noticed that there weren't many bilingual people of color in my community here in California, and so I was inspired. I was inspired when I would meet people, and I would be surprised that some of them who were people of color that they were speaking a second language, specifically Spanish, and I would say, man, I really want to do that, and I was encouraged to go after that and to learn the language, but I was really just struggling learning that language here in California because it wasn't the predominant language that we hear day to day. It's English, so I thought, I had this crazy idea. What if I just go study abroad? What if I just uproot myself and move to another country and go and learn the language there and really immerse myself in the culture? And so after a lot of like contemplation, but also a lot of encouragement, I leaped right in and I did it. And I just wanted to go and do it. So that inspired me.
That's awesome. I love learning languages too, and I've noticed the same thing. Not a lot of students our age are pursuing languages, so it's very difficult to see, languages die, or like too many people are taking advantage of the opportunities. And I love that you mentioned that you just went for it, because that's the same thing I did with my Chinese program. I just decided I want to learn Chinese. I'm going to go. So that's awesome. I love it. So besides the language growth, or if you want to go into language growth, what other kind of growth did you see in yourself from the start of your program to the end of it?
So taking part in this program, I've seen myself grow in developing confidence in myself, abilities that I didn't know I had, like being able to kind of navigate in a world where I didn't have the language communication as a strong suit. So I see myself grow in that. And then in my identity, by participating in this program, I just gained like a greater understanding of my identity, who I am, and how I'm uniquely different, but also a part of like a bigger picture in this world. So I don't think I would have been able to learn that, especially the confidence part, just the identity part, if I didn't take part in this. In this program.
Awesome. And I like that you brought up your identity, because I wanted to ask, how has study abroad affected your identity, and how has your identity affected study abroad?
Yeah, so like I was saying, it's been able to show me how my makeup and like the things that make up Alicia are uniquely different, but I think they're also collectively valued. So, my love for arts, or just my love for cultural practices or things that make a culture. So music, food, dancing, singing, again, arts, or just, different things like that. And especially when it comes to like learning the values of another culture, seeing how although I may be a different human being that may not have grown up in this culture, being collectively valued because of what I can bring to the table, or because of just my ability to love in this space as well. It's something that it connects you and it draws you in. When it comes to, for me at least, it did when it came to like connecting with my host family, and when it came to even career development, So all of these things like shaped who I am, and it taught me, okay, although I may not be from this specific place, but I'm uniquely different, but I'm collectively valued because what I'm bringing and who I am in this space is just as important. It it taught me to own that. It taught me to stand in that and be confident in that and be proud in that. And and it's something that I can't say I would have learned. That was a special part of me that I now value if I hadn't taken part in this.
That's awesome. You can't see me, but I was nodding my head like the whole way. That's awesome. Cool. So, can you describe a vivid memory that you had when you studied abroad?
Which one? There were so
Top one, top two, top three, any.
I'll give I'll give two. So the first one had to revolve around a time period in Spain that we call Feria. During Feria, the women have special dresses that they put on, and they're pretty, they're flowy, and they're full of vibrant colors. And women put flowers in their hair and things like that. And so during this time, I didn't necessarily have a cultural dress to participate with, but I did like find a really nice shirt. My host family helped me dress myself up to look the part and everything. And they even put a little flower in my hair. And I know you can't see, but I have no hair. Like I have very short, curly hair, but they went out of their way to make me feel accepted and loved and help me to really immerse myself in this tradition that they had. And we were walking around town and just taking pictures, and people were complimenting us. And it's actually a photo that's used on some of the advertising for studying abroad. I can send it to you later. But it's an amazing memory, like to be able to like feel a part with these group of young women and just go and not feel like the odd one out, but feel connected and loved and just be happy. It was like a joy that developed inside. Wow, this is so cool. I never would have thought my experience been that way. And then another memory that I would share is going to the supermarkets weekly. I would go with one of my really close friends and roommate at the time, and we would take our grocery bags and we would go to these very fresh, kind of like farmers markets, but it was a market that they would have early in the mornings on weekends. And there was a lady who was selling fruits, and to be honest, I didn't really know how to pick out the best kind of fruit, but I went to the ones that were the most plump and vibrant looking. And I would always go to her stand. And about a couple months into the program, I want to say maybe like 3 months, I actually decided to speak in Spanish and practice my Spanish. And the moment I started speaking, she kind of like started speeding up, and I was like, wait, hold on. And she was like, boy, are you not from here? And I was like, no, I'm not from here. She was like, oh my goodness, I thought you were Dominican, or I thought you were Cuban or something, something else. And I was just like, no. She's like, well, wow, I just wanted to say your Spanish sounds really, really good. And I know you said you just started, but you're doing great, and it's awesome. And I was like, wow, I never thought that I even could come off like that to somebody. But it's also funny because they perceive me to be someone else or some from some other culture that I really wasn't. But it was just amazing. It was a great feeling. And those markets are really like the key here because you get to practice and you get to put, you get to put the things you're learning into practice and develop, like I said, that confidence and what you're learning and actually applying those things. And it makes a difference. It makes a difference in how you're learning the language. And again, I don't think that that's something I could have developed or experienced if I hadn't taken part in this program.
Yeah, that must have been really cool just to really feel like this is your home for the next couple months, and just to have all those experiences, all those relationships to build. That must have been really awesome and such a vital part of your personal growth during your experience. So that's really awesome. For any students who might be afraid of studying abroad or might be afraid of not being able to adjust to the culture, what advice would you have for them?
Yeah, I would tell a student who's afraid to just think of this opportunity as a leap of faith and to ask themselves why And then to remind them that at the end of the day, this opportunity will grow something inside of you that you may never get a chance to develop again. And so don't miss out, don't miss out. And I know it can be scary to be alone and maybe in a culture where you have no knowledge about, because I had no knowledge about Spain and I had no knowledge about Spanish, but there's something special that develops in your character and you as a human and your contribution to society, even when you step out on that leap of faith and you decide to spend time alone with yourself, to learn yourself, to invest in yourself and grow yourself in ways that you can't do when you're comfortable. And so take it, although it's scary and it's probably nerve-wracking, but take it as a leap of faith. But this is probably going to be the best leap of faith you'll ever take in your life toward figuring out who you want to be and what you want to do in this world.
That's perfect. Could not have said it any better. I have two more questions for you. What was a challenge, if any, did you overcome while studying abroad? Or maybe something that you noticed, either culture shock or anything?
I would say my phone situation was a challenge. Communication, like with my family back home, sometimes would be a challenge just because I would get homesick, which we all do. But I would just say, like, be mindful of your belongings when you're traveling and probably not bring your most prized possession, iPhone, when you go. Like, get a burner phone or some kind of like less expensive kind of phone that you will still be able to have access to while you're traveling and things, because there are many times where I have lost my phone or lost my ability to communicate with people because of that. And sometimes it was stolen and sometimes it was just careless behavior because you're having so much fun when you're traveling and whatnot. So that, and then another challenge was sometimes when you're shipping things from America to whatever country you're studying in, there can be fees you have to pay for customs and like taxes and things like that. So just be mindful of what that would look like and what it would be before you make drastic purchases. Like you want to ship specific items in. So those were challenges, but they're things that you can be mindful of and prepare for. Definitely prevent, I wasn't told. So.
That's awesome. Perfect tips, perfect advices. Actually, I have one more follow up and then another follow up. If COVID was gone, if everyone had the ability to travel again freely, where would you go?
I think I would want to go to Argentina.
Ooh, okay.
I think I would want to go to Argentina. I also seen that there was a program there in Argentina. So I kind of like had been thinking, okay, we're fine. But yeah, just because I loved Europe and I loved my experience with the Spanish culture in Europe, but I kind of want to dive into a different like sector of Latin America. I want to go into South America and I want to go into like learning what their practices and their cultures look like, and even like differences in articulation and language and stuff there, and even just learning how their society functions. Just because I've heard great things about Argentina, and I've learned to be, well, I've become a like historic junkie. I love seeing old ancient buildings now, the castles in Spain and things like that. And so architecture I've been drawn to, cultural development I've been drawn to, and then language. So Argentina would probably be next on my list.
Awesome. All right. So I know I said I had one more question, but I do have one more question for you. It's going to be our last one for sure. Is there anything we haven't talked about that you want to share?
I would say, I think maybe the process of applying and making a determination as of how realistic is this desire that I have to go across the country, how realistic is it for me in my situation, is something that I would encourage students to be diligent about. I think that the answer to that can't be just revealed in like one question or one setting in meeting with somebody. So go, I would say, consistently and just intentionally take time to seek out your advisors, seek out the counselors that would help you, seek out the financial aid department, people there that would help you make this giant process a little bit more less intimidating by going through these smaller steps and looking at the details and finding those details little by little so that it doesn't seem so strenuous or extravagant that it's not attainable for you. I would say that would be something that I think isn't talked about enough.
Yeah.
Supporting students to actually apply and take the steps to move forward in the process.
Perfect ending. That's exactly how I feel with students who want to study abroad. Not enough students utilize resources enough, and you just tied it up perfectly. Awesome. All right. So I'm about to wrap up this interview, but do you have any questions or any other things you want to mention?
No.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alicia, for taking the time to talk to me and talk to the students who plan to study abroad. And just thank you so much for sharing your experience.
Problem. I enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Guys.
Perfect. This interview is going to be posted, I think, later in this week. So, yeah. All right. Thank you again. All right. Have a good one.